Hello and welcome back to the Byzantine Places series. This is number 4. We're going to be talking about the portrait of the Tetrarchs. I'm Sean Munger. I'm that history guy. And for the first time in this series, as you can see here, we find ourselves in Venice. This is St. Mark's Square, which if you know anything about Venice and Byzantine history, you know that this place is full of Byzantine loot that was brought back to Venice during the Fourth Crusade in 1204. We're not going to get into the very old arguments about returning Byzantine treasures from Venice. This is not the time or place for that, but certainly later on in this series we will be returning to Venice. This is what we're looking at here today, and this is called the portrait of the four Tetrarchs. Now, I couldn't drop in on this view because it's actually really hard to find on Google Maps. It's usually obscured. For example, one of the other few views I saw of it, Google's face derecognition technology had blurred out the faces of the statues. So I thought that was kind of interesting. So this is about as good a view as we're going to get of it here on Google Maps. This depicts 4 emperors, and it was carved out of porphyry, and it was created about 300 AD. What happened was Diocletian, one of the late Roman emperors, split the empire into eastern and western halves. Each half had a senior emperor called an Augustus and a junior emperor called a Caesar. This split between east and west was the genesis of the entire Byzantine Empire because Byzantium is the eastern half of the Roman Empire. The statue depicts 4 emperors clinging to each other and is a statement of unity. We're not sure exactly which people in the period of the Tetrarch, which specific people this depicts. Presumably Maximian is one of them. Constantine's father may be another one. The Tetrarchy, which is what it was called, was kind of a revolving door throughout its short period. By 324, of course, the Tetrarchy was gone. Emperor Constantine I, Constantine the Great, consolidated both halves of the empire under his rule. So there were no more 4 emperors. There was 1 emperor. Originally, this statue was placed in a public square in Constantinople called the Philadelphian. And in fact, that square got its name from this statue. Philadelphian, of course, in Greek means brotherly love. Maybe some of you who live in Philadelphia, USA, know that. I used to live there as well. The statue was believed to have been plundered in 1204 during the Fourth Crusade. That crusade, of course, was led by a Venetian, Enrico Dandolo, the Doge of Venice, and originally it was aimed at the Holy Land, as the other crusades were, but was diverted to Byzantium for largely economic reasons and also political reasons. Byzantium was very rich, and the Western European crusaders didn't like the fact that Byzantium had been generally lukewarm to the process of the Crusades as they had been going on for a few centuries by that point in time. So anyway, Byzantium gets sacked in the Fourth Crusade. The Fourth Crusade did not involve any Muslim countries, only Christian countries fighting each other. And in the course of the large-scale looting of Constantinople, from which we get, for example, the 4 golden horses, who are also here in St. Mark's Square, or actually inside the building of St. Mark's Basilica, this statue is wrenched off its moorings and taken away. And in the process of doing that, this foot when it was torn off, the foot was left behind. Foot was broken off, and you can see the marble replacement there. Incidentally, in the 1960s in Istanbul, Constantinople, the foot was uncovered by archaeologists. They found it. And they found it in the place where the Philadelphian was said to have been located. The story of how the Tetrarchs got to Venice is not undisputed. Marco Polo, for example, claims in his chronicle that it was brought to Venice about 1255, about 50 years after the Fourth Crusade. We just don't know, but most historians believe it was taken in the Fourth Crusade in 1204 and then brought here to St. Mark's Square. And many of these columns and various other things that you can see in Venice, jewels and treasures and that kind of thing, also come from Byzantium and were taken in that crusade. Thank you for watching. Please subscribe, look at the other videos in this series. I am Sean Munger. My website is thathistoryguy.com, and I teach history courses online. Thank you very much for joining me.